Hello and welcome to Walk the Pod, your daily walking show, tempting you away from your desk at lunchtime to walk in nature for just 10 minutes, paying attention to what's directly in front of you and enjoying the mental and physical health benefits of doing so. My name is Rachel Wheely, a human in the world, and I'm walking in the park behind the hospital this lunchtime on rather a grey and Ms. day. There's somebody leaf blowing in the play park, hence the noise, so you can maybe hear that in the background. And we're going to talk about friendship this series 51 of Walk the Pod, and it's going to be a very fascinating discussion about what friendship means and what's important to us about our friends, who can sometimes be our found family. So I think it's going to be a really interesting discussion. And the very first thing I want to bring you is a voice note from John in Muswell Hill, who wants to challenge what I said earlier about how it's a grey and Ms. day. Welcome to Walk the Pod.
Hi Rach, it's getting near that time of year when the weather turns what you call Ms. I'm spelling that M-I-Z, by the way. I worry about you worrying about 3 whole months of Ms. Now, I don't see it that way. I rather like wind and rain, so I'm going to quickly try and convert you and any other poddies who feel this way to the joy of mizzing out. I play a game where, when I'm out in bad weather, which house looks the cosiest? Lamps and lots of books and board games on shelves, and open fires, the smell of wood smoke score high, no lights at all, and no point. I love putting away summer clothes, getting out winter shirts, pullovers, looking forward to soups and stews. So, yes, it's a celebration of opposites, warm, cold, cosy, dreary, but it's more than that, because what else is bad weather but the perfect metaphor for a lot of what life throws at us? And so as I walk through cold and rainy streets, I remind myself that I am armed against that. I can survive. After all, the human race was well established by the time the last ice age came along, and it doesn't get much more Ms than that. And we stuck together and used our big, beautiful minds to fashion clothing and build houses that allowed us to live in a cold climate. We are survivors. And Ms. Weather reminds us of that fact every year. Thank you, Ms.
Thank you, John. The joy of mizzing out there from John. Thank you very much indeed for those thoughts. I love that. The cold and Ms and grey and wet weather reminds us that we are survivors who can get through an ice age, let alone a bit of rain. It's been quite a lot of rain in the last 24 hours. And I'm out in the park in really cold. It's definitely gone cold now. Weather with everything is damp. I've moved away slightly from the leaf blower, but I can see 25 pigeons in front of me, all advancing on me in that bobbly way that they do with their heads. Slightly terrifying to see that many pigeons walking towards me at once, if I'm honest, poddies. Just had a flu jab at the hospital where I work. They're offering them to everyone who works there, and they don't seem to mind that I am merely a person who pushes bits of paper around the internet, not a life-saving frontline medic or healthcare professional or anything like that. They've given me the flu jab in any case. And so I want to turn now to think about, to kick off our topic, our theme, which is going to be friendship this month. Thank you to members of the Walk the Pod Lunchtime Walk Club for voting for it. And I got 75% of the vote. So friendship it is. And I was talking to Sam about this yesterday, who said that friends are often found family, and once someone is your friend, they should be treated as such. And society's kind of indication that family is more important than friendship, the nuclear family is everything, maybe not quite right. And it reminds me of a couple of things. One is somebody one of the ancient philosophers, Seneca or somebody, one of the, Stoic chaps, saying that his advice is to sort of wait for a long while before admitting somebody into your friendship circle. Don't just allow anybody in. Let's not use the Facebook definition of friendship, which is basically somebody I met once in any context at all. But really think, is this person my friend or are they an acquaintance? Because once you have admitted them into your circle, Seneca says you treat them as if they were your own, well, not even just family, but as if they were you yourself. You are completely open and transparent with them, is his advice. That was one thing it made me think of. And the other thing it made me think of was a thing by, I forget who wrote it now, but it was something along the lines of, we can't just disappear into our nuclear families as people in the world. We have to engage with people to make friends. We have to maintain our friendships. We have to give our friends a bit of time and space, despite the rather huge demands of the nuclear family. So that's just something to think about as well. Those are a couple of thoughts just to kick the topic off, but if you have any of your own, I would much rather hear those than my own. And so rather than burble at you about what friendship means to me, I'd love to invite you to send me a voice note, and you can do that by going to walkthepod.com. Press the button marked leave a voice note for Walk the Pod, and you can leave me 90 seconds of your beautiful voice or less, and I can put it on the very next episode. What can I see directly in front of me? I just nearly dropped my water bottle. The nurse who gave me the flu jab said, have to keep my fluids up, so I'm walking around the park with my water bottle clamped firmly between two fingers. Absolutely freezing. Not that it is freezing, it's not freezing at all. It's actually still reasonably warm air temperature, but I'm just out of practice with the cold. Just feel like I'm slightly all uptight because my body is not used to being out in colder weather, lower air temperature. So absolutely I'm not going to say pathetic. I think that's a bit strong, but it's not as robust as I would hope to be, striding around in my big coat with the fluffy lining, and feeling like, it's too cold, I don't like it. It's still probably 10 degrees, so absolutely no right whatsoever to be complaining. How are you? Hope that you are doing well wherever you are. If you're in New Zealand, Robin, you're probably enjoying a lovely summer day. Very jealous of you. Although John reminds us that a grey and Ms Day is just a good reminder of what survivors we are. We mustn't be too down about a wet day, but it has been, it's been wet and Ms today. It really has. I'm glancing up in between a couple of trees, seeing the helipad on top of the hospital, which does not have a helicopter on it at the moment, but I remember when I lived in this area years ago and the helipad was installed. It was very exciting to think that our local hospital had a helipad. And when I went into hospital myself, with the beginnings of, I think it was my respiratory problem being diagnosed, and I was in A&E for a while, and one of the nurses was hoping for a helicopter to land just to give her a bit of adrenaline to get through the next hour of the shift. She was getting a bit bored. This is what happens if you're an A&E nurse, presumably, is you don't cope well with just peace, and you start casting around for where your next hit of adrenaline is going to come from. I know the feeling. I used to feel the same way when I used to work in live radio. You get addicted to the adrenaline rush that comes with the red light going on and you going on air. And similarly, I imagine if you work in an A&E department, you get used to and somewhat addicted to the adrenaline that you get from a new patient coming in. So that was quite funny. A funny thing that happened to me in the A&E department, dear friends. But no helicopter on the roof at the hospital today, so all peaceful, relatively speaking, at St George's today. There's not much to speak of in the park. The pigeons have gone, the grass is wet, the path is wet, the leaves are wet, everything is wet and Ms. There is somebody still leaf blowing in the play park. I've tried to move away from them so that you don't have that too loudly on the recording. But it's not a day where people are loving being in the park. It's a bit empty. But I'm out just stretching my legs and getting a 10-minute stroll in my lunch break, because I find that it is terrifically helpful to provide a bit of perspective in the day, especially when there's stuff happening at work that seems terribly urgent and important. It's good sometimes to come for a little stroll in the park and remind myself that actually out here none of that really matters. Thank you so much for walking with me this lunchtime, dear friends. It is such a delight to walk with you. It brings me such joy to step out into the park, to start recording a new episode or a new series even. So happy to be out recording again. Thank you for your support. Thank you for listening. Thank you for walking with me. If you're new to Walk the Pod and you're loving it and you want to get more involved, go to walkthepod.com. Click through to join the Walk the Pod Lunchtime Walk Club. Get involved with a glorious community of walkers all around the world. You'll never walk alone with Walk the Pod. And I also offer all kinds of things like postcards sent to wherever you live in the world. I think there's 1 or 2 spaces left on that tier. I've added some more tiers, so if you want to just support for a nominal amount every month, you can do so. If you are some kind of very generous and wealthy benefactor, you can get involved to keep the podcast free for everyone who listens to it. Check out all the tiers of support on Patreon by going to walkthepod.com and clicking through there. Take care of your beautiful mind, yourselves and each other, and I'll be back with episode 2 tomorrow.